What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Am I the Butthole? If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, yesterday we did have some new members join us. We had Nat Jackson, we also had Chloe M, and Blank Profile. Thank you so much for joining us. And we also had upgrades from Satanic Being 6661, Starry Bird, I may have said you yesterday, but you're getting it again, and the Zombified Fairy. Thank you so much for your support. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. You guys are really spoiling me. You're bloody amazing. Thank you so much. And for everyone for taking the time out of your days to be here, incredible level support. Don't forget how amazing you are, and let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Good Golly Miss Molly. Oh, wait a sec. Good golly Miss Molly. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Am I the arsehole for being honest about how I was bullied and how the teachers at my school did nothing about it while being interviewed by a current student? I'm an author of mild success. I'm not incredibly popular, but my books sell enough. About 3 months ago, someone from my old high school reached out to see if a student could interview me. I responded that my time at the school wasn't the happiest, but I would give the student responses related to my career. We had a great chat. She started asking questions about my time at school, but I redirected. She caught on to what I was doing and asked, "I'm sensing that you're hesitant to talk about your time at school. Is that true?" I said, "Let's focus on the story." And she was like, "Actually, this could be a better story." So I said, "You know what? Sure, whatever. I don't owe the school anything, I'm not being paid, and even though it's been a long time and I've grown from what happened, it's still worth talking about." I mentioned a few names in specific, and how I tried to ask for help and was blown off by everyone. Teachers at my school very strongly favoured the girls in sports teams, and would often be buddy-buddy with them and their parents. I mentioned the teacher who openly mocked the way I dress, my lack of athleticism, etc. I brought up the time that a group of girls followed me around the school, mooing at me, and when I broke down crying because they wouldn't stop and tried to tell a teacher, the teacher called me Mooly. For the rest of the year, and when I yelled, "My name is Molly, Molly," she had me suspended for a week. She ended up publishing the whole interview. Nothing exactly went viral, but there were posts on Facebook with a ton of comments, and it caused some commotion in that community. A few weeks later, I was contacted by a school official who chastised me for bringing up old wounds and trying to paint veteran teachers as bad people when they were going through difficult times already. The teacher responsible for the Mooly incident had a local lifetime teaching award taken away from her after it all came out, so it was really worth it. And maybe did I remember things wrong? So was it really worth it? And maybe I did remember things wrong. Finally, a handful of old classmates, many of them stuck around town, found me, and I was barraged with a ton of messages telling me that I'm ruining the reputation of the school and several prominent community members. It was X years ago, so why can't I just get over it, etc. Some of them obviously haven't changed. It was a long time ago, yes. I don't know how I really feel about how this all went down though. I know times are tough for teachers right now. I didn't set out to hurt anyone. I was just telling the truth. Am I the arsehole? As I've said it time and time again, you guys know my story and what I went through in high school and the way I was bullied. You know, you still suffer from it to this day. You still have like little, almost like fantasies in your head of what you could have done at that particular moment. And they're very vivid images, and you remember exactly what happened. So I don't think you're remembering things wrong. Bullying behavior, it sticks and it gets ingrained in your brain, and it's there. And I think it will be there for the rest of my life. And I know people will say get therapy and stuff like that, but you know, I'm happy with how I am right now. I don't need it, so I'm okay. But it is still there. I mean, like right on the top of my head now, I can relive a whole maths class, remember exactly what happened during a whole hour years ago, you know what I mean? And what happened in that bullying incident, the way he came over and leaned on my back and pressed my face into the desk and then punched me in the back of the head as he walked off, and the teacher just sort of looked, told him off, told him not to do it again, and that was it. And this was a teacher who was aware of the situation, aware of this guy constantly picking on me. It had been raised by another parent that I was being bullied at that time, because my friend told his mum, who then told my teacher, who then, I guess, it passed on. because at the time I wouldn't tell anyone about my bullying, because my head goes all over the place with these sort of things. I mean, I got 3 older brothers. I mean, I was a late child, so they were all quite a bit older than me, and I was scared that my middle brother would find out, and he would have killed that guy. In my head, he would have literally killed that guy, and the last thing I wanted was to see my brother get taken off and put in jail, and that was what was going through my head at the time. Crazy, I know. But yeah, it was a crazy time. Been through some very, very dark places while I was going through my last years in school. But yes, anyway, I would say not the arsehole in this situation. All you did was tell the truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. You tell the truth, you know what you went through, and I think you should absolutely be able to tell your story, just like I am right now. Big Butt Effer says, that name always gets me, not the arsehole, and quotes, trying to paint Vedra teachers as bad people, and then says you weren't trying to do anything, they were bad people. And then quotes, I'm ruining the reputation of the school and several prominent community members. Those community members did a good job of ruining their own reputations. It's not your fault they're finally being held accountable. And Tale of the Crack Fox says, not the arsehole, dude, I have dreams about getting mildly famous and doing an interview revealing all the ways my school was a cesspit of shit. You just lived my dream, OP. Not the arsehole, not the arsehole, not the arsehole. Honestly, the woman does not deserve an award if she bullies students. And the school should have reached out to you, apologise, asked what they can do better. Their whole attitude shows they're still a terrible school. And Held On By A String says, not the arsehole, you told the truth. People got things taken away from them and got a bad reputation for their actions. You didn't make them act that way. And Melba Toast MD says, you are so not the arsehole. The school is upset because the truth makes them look bad. Think about that. The truth makes the school look bad. And MM172 says, not the arsehole. Funny how the burden is supposed to be on you, the former student, to protect all these upstanding, experienced pillars of the community, and not on them to explain themselves, which clearly they can't, or the one who made fun of your name, who wouldn't have had her award yanked purely on your say-so. Now, I turn this one to you guys. Let me know what you would do in this situation. Do you think OP was right to call them out and tell the truth, basically? Or do you think there was another way around it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story does have an update attached to it, so prepare for that one afterwards. And it's from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for accusing my brother of being gay instead of studying all day? I'm 14 male and my brother is 22 male. We have always had a great relationship. He's the one I'm closest to of all my life so far. He started a PhD doing maths at a top university last summer, and I'm truly happy for him, although that meant he would be away from home 6 to 7 months a year. But he grew more distant from me ever since. Even when he is back home for the holidays, on most days he would stay in his room the whole day and only come out for meals and to tuck me into bed at night. When he did play games or have prolonged chats with me, he was his old self, but those became more infrequent. When I asked him about it, he said he was too busy nowadays, but will spend Sundays with me, which he did. Recently, he decided to postpone his studies until summer because of lockdown, and one would think he would have more free time now, but apparently not, and he continues saying that he was working, saying something like no one ever succeeds by doing the least amount of work. It didn't make sense, so I suspected he wasn't studying all day. I asked him if he was dating, and he said he was too busy to date. Anyways, one night after he thought I went to bed, I listened at his door and heard him talking on the phone, and it was obvious from the way he spoke that it wasn't just a friend. I've always suspected that he was gay, since he never showed any interest in girls, and figured he always denied dating because he was ashamed of being gay. I was angry that he lied to me. Well, yesterday, I was arguing with my mum about my grades when my brother chimed in and said, if you spent your time studying instead of arguing, maybe you would get better grades. And I said, you probably spend your time dating boys instead of studying anyways. My mum was like, how dare you say that, and sent me to my room. So I don't know how my brother reacted afterwards. I knew I shouldn't have talked back, but I didn't say anything too bad, and even when I did in the past, my brother never got angry at me. Also this time, it was kind of his fault for lying to me. But yesterday, he ended up skipping dinner and didn't tuck me into bed at night, so I think he was really angry. Then today, everything went back to normal, and he even watched a movie with me, so perhaps he felt bad about lying to me too, and that's why he's not angry anymore. I'm not sure if I'm the arsehole. Now, there isn't much to say in terms of anything really, apart from this guy was eavesdropping and then made a huge assumption about their brother just from what they heard. And your brother's sexuality just has nothing to do with you whatsoever. So absolutely, you're going to be the arsehole in this situation. And that's pretty much what the comments follow up with as well. Pretty much unanimous, you're the arsehole for doing what you did, eavesdropping and all that kind of thing. So we're going to head straight to the update on this one. Hopefully he's changed his ways, right? So, throwaway again, update. Am I the arsehole for accusing my brother of being gay instead of studying all day? Hey, so I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. I'll be honest that I was angry at first when all the judgments were negative, but I thought about it and realised that I was really a selfish prick who never thought of my brother's perspective. Thank you for making me aware of that. I apologised to my brother today and we had a long conversation. He didn't hold it against me and said that he's glad that I'm learning to take responsibility for my actions. He said that he knew what I was going through and sometimes he gets sad too, knowing that we're both growing up and things are changing. I cried when he said that. Our family had problems with money when I was in primary school, so my parents used to work long hours and my brother practically brought me up. He said that if I'm willing to try and improve my grades, I could spend some time each day studying in his room while he worked on his degree, which sounds like a good idea. And apparently, he's been planning to take me to Italy sometime next year, so we can spend some time together when he has less things going on. He remembered that I always wanted to go there after seeing some movie when I was younger, lol, and he forgave me for nearly outing him. Luckily, my mum thought it was just an insult and didn't think much about it. I go to a traditional school which doesn't educate us on LGBT issues. So I read up on that online and realised how dangerous what I did was, and how great my brother is for still talking to me and being so loving. I also want to apologise to people on Reddit who were offended by my attitude towards being gay in my original post. So anyway, thank you. I'll try to be more mature from now on. Edit, thanks so much for the support everyone. It encourages me that other people with an older brother managed to be so close after both growing up. And for someone to see that they've been an arsehole in the situation and then to turn it around and, you know, come back as a wholesome person and realise what they've done and educate themselves too on the issues and apologise is just the right thing to do. And I don't think there's anything else we can say on that matter apart from I think it's a pretty positive ending, right? So let's move straight on to the next story. Now, our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for snapping at my restaurant manager for complaining about my wife? My 50 male dad just passed away, and as a result, I have inherited his set of businesses in the food and hospitality industry. I also recently got married, and unfortunately I feel like among my staff there's been some hostility towards my wife. My cousin's son, who interned with me over the summer, that he heard over the grapevine that employees would often say that my parents were wonderful, generous people, and that they loved my parents. They liked me, but hated my wife and then called her not a good person multiple times. One of our family's businesses is a local boutique hotel. The restaurant there functions really well for people needing a meeting space. My wife is from Europe, where most of her family is, and doesn't work, so most of her social life is structured around my mum's group at preschool our son attends. She and her group of friends haven't gotten together in a long time and were thinking of getting together to plan a spring event for the preschool. She's been upset about how busy I've been settling my dad's remaining legal affairs, so I told her what's mine is hers and to feel free to invite her friends over and treat them. I was gone for the weekend and it turns out she invited her friends to the restaurant at the hotel after it closed and asked the employees who were there to help her in serving drinks and desserts. More friends came than she expected, so she needed some extra help, but mostly she was doing all the hosting. After her mum's friends left, she was pulled aside by the manager and a few stray waiters and waitresses who were still there. The manager said that he believed that the waitstaff deserved a tip for staying. My wife disagreed, saying she didn't ask for all of them to stay and that in Europe, no waiters would ever pull someone aside to demand a tip, and yelled at them for being rude and said they'd be hearing from me. When I came into work on Monday, the manager asked to talk to me and said he assumed my wife told me. My wife was asleep when I got in on Sunday and still asleep when I went to work. He relayed the whole incident and said he stands by his decision to demand a tip alongside the rest of the staff who stayed after. He said he has worked here for 35 years and that if this was another customer, he'd think twice about letting them from coming in ever again. I think his long history with my parents emboldens him, but I was furious in that moment about him implying that he would ban my wife from the restaurant we owned. I snapped in the moment and said I would not tolerate him or the staff ambushing my wife like that ever again, nor him trying to ban my wife from a place that is hers. I reminded him that my wife culturally isn't used to tipping and that I talked to her but wouldn't tolerate this disrespect. Am I the arsehole? Now I went back, I had to check through some of the comments just to make sure that in what I'm suspecting that the restaurant is actually in the US and the wife is from Europe. And yeah, it does say the wife is from Europe, but I just wanted to confirm that the restaurant is in the US because as far as I'm aware, waitstaff are paid less than in Europe because the whole tipping system there, and I might be totally wrong in saying that, I might have that mixed up a bit. So feel free to educate me on that matter if I need to be. And bloody hell, the wife has got some cheek on her, isn't she? Asking the staff to stay after hours to serve and host this party of people to come in when they're not getting like tips or paid is absolutely ridiculous. I'll be surprised if you manage to keep hold of your staff, especially a manager who's been with you for 30 plus years. That's someone with a massive amount of loyalty who loved your previous parents and the way they were treated. Then you come in and you taint that instantly. Shame on you for doing that, my friend. And again, the attitude from your wife is that old Karen behavior that we used to see of like, oh, you'll be hearing from my husband on this one. And I don't get the whole I'm from Europe excuse anyway. I always tip servers regardless when I go to restaurants. I get good service from people, I tip. It's just the way it is. And so for her to use that excuse is just bullshit. But Demonic Symphony says, you're the arsehole. Your wife made them work after closing with no pay. That's freaking illegal, dude. Pay your employees for your wife's fuck up and apologise. And probably have her apologise too. And Wind River 7 says, you're the arsehole, good luck replacing your entire staff. European or not, your wife is living in America and food service is handled differently. Not only did she have staff stay overtime with an undetermined number of guests, she then refused to tip them. And there is a big difference between hosting and serving food and drinks, then clean up. Keep this up and kiss your restaurant business goodbye. And Stairs Motherfuckerly says, you're the arsehole for not standing up for your employees. In quotes, my wife disagreed, saying she didn't ask for all of them to stay. And then says, she did. And then quotes again saying she invited her friends to the restaurant at the hotel after it closed and asked the employees who were there to help her in serving drinks and desserts. And quotes again said, and have called her not a good person. And then says, good people don't ask for slave labour. And quotes one more time saying, I want to say that I do appreciate how loyal he's been to my parents and I. And then says, how about showing your appreciation? And Lemon and Lime says, info. Were those who stayed to help out paid overtime? As a European here, UK born and bred, representing, tipping might not be normal, although damn, it would be a kind gesture. And ultimately, while your wife is European, she is now living in a country where tipping is the social etiquette, and she needs to learn this. But overtime payment for every 15 minutes worked over their assignment shift would be. Also, is she using her influence to now implement other European customs, such as paid vacation of up to 30 days per year, and paid sick pay, and covering the employee's health insurance herself as a way to implement free healthcare while she's there? Just curious how far she wants to go with bringing European cultural norms into the workplace of the business you guys own. Ooh, spicy. Now, what do you guys think of this situation, and how would you deal with it if you was OP? Let me know in the comments below. Now, our next story is from a deleted user. Oh dear. Am I the arsehole for allowing my wife to be publicly humiliated? I love my wife. She is the best thing that has ever happened to me. She is also not a super nice person and can be something of a bully. Her son got married recently and she hates the bride. No actual reason, just hates her. She kept joking about wearing white to the wedding, and the poor bride, who doesn't know her very well, thought she was just joking. She wasn't. She wore a floor white lace gown to the wedding just to be a bitch. I told my wife that this was a terrible idea and that she was making herself look crazy, but she would not be reasoned with. When the bride saw her, she teared up a little. This is after a lot of bad blood between them. During the reception, my stepson bribed his wife's nephews. One distracted my wife. She loves kids, so she got up to play with him, and the other one put the chocolate frosting of a cupcake on her seat. Honestly, I didn't say anything because I told her ahead of time that she was going to deserve whatever she got. She didn't notice for hours until my stepson said something before he left. Somehow she isn't mad at him, isn't mad at the kids, but is furious with me and says that I should have told her and I'm supposed to be on her side. I thought this drama was over, but my stepson posted a picture of his wife on social media this morning, and the shit looking stain is pretty clear in the background, so my wife is mad at me again. I feel there's a lot more to this bad blood than what we're just reading here, but I'll go with it anyway. And I just like, if I was in OP's position, there's no way I would be attending that wedding if my wife was doing that. Not that I would be with someone like that in the first place, let me just get that out there again, but there's no way I would go to that wedding to enable that kind of behavior. That is some toxic mentality going on there. To think you're going to wear a white wedding dress and get away with it when you go to a wedding without being noticed, just to be a shitty person. Why would you do that? I mean, oh man, I'm just sort of leaning back here trying to take it in. I just can't work it out in my head. So for the actual question, I don't think you're the arsehole for allowing your wife to be publicly humiliated. I mean, she is your wife, but I'm just looking at this as that's a shitty person trying to do a shitty act. So she kind of got what she deserved in this situation, but at the same time, you are a shitty person for enabling this behavior and, you know, going along with her to this wedding. You should have just said, look, I'm not going with you if you're going to wear that dress just to be toxic. But my head still can't get around this whole relationship. It's very, very bizarre in my opinion. And Serge RN says, and how is this bitter, antagonistic person the best thing that has ever happened to you? I am really curious. How does a vindictive hater become this in your eyes? Sorry, but I don't feel the least sorry that she was made an object of ridicule at your son's wedding. She took the first shot, a volley was returned, and her wound was the more fatal. Good. The arsehole here is your wife. She made her bed, let her roll around in the frosting for a while, and you maybe could have told her about the butt stain if there was any hope that would force her to change her dress. And potentially Nox says everyone sucks here, her for everything and you for not doing more to warn the bride or your son. Why are you even with someone you admit is a terrible person? And No Aim No Brain says you're the arsehole for not telling the bride and groom she was serious and letting her potentially ruin the wedding, but not the arsehole for letting her embarrass herself. Honestly, she sounds horrible. And Tinkerific says you're the arsehole. You should have flat out refused to go with your wife to the wedding, called your stepson and explained the situation to him, and advised him to have friends meet your wife at the door and forbid her entry. You're the a-hole for not taking a stand from the beginning. You are also the a-hole for not telling your wife about the stain. You were there, she sat down, which I admit I would have let happen and feigned ignorance, but then she got up. You should have come forward and told her that she sat in something and it makes her look like she shit herself. It's less about having your wife's back and more, that was your ticket to get such a horrible person away from the place. Very good point there actually. And Larry Kevin Robert says, you're the arsehole to marry and be in love with someone you know is a terrible person. You yourself must be an absolute wanker too, by the transitive arsehole principle. Get yourself together, be a better person. Now, let me know what you guys think of this situation. Do you think OP was the arsehole for, you know, letting his wife sit in the cupcake and just letting it happen, or not? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit the like, the subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. If you really fancy it, of course. And if you want to support the channel further, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description for Patreon and heading on over there. It is really, really appreciated, really, really helpful, and just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here, spending 20 minutes or so with me, just reading a story or two. Very, very cheeky, I know. And I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys. Goodbye. Have a great day now. Bye.